There we go. We're live now. Should hopefully. When I did this one time last week, the notification didn't go on. But anyway, we're here now. We're live.
And we're live.
That's tuning in. It's just gone 12:30 here in Melbourne, Australia. Fortunate enough to have Mitch Goldberg along to join me today for the Lunchtime Lives. Mitch, hello. How are you?
I'm fine, James. Hey, thank you so much for having me as your guest. I watch your content regularly, and it's great to finally talk to you face to face, because I thought we became fast friends on LinkedIn a while ago, and now we talk all the time.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was chatting to a client during last week, and we had a Zoom meeting with them, as I'm doing with a lot of clients. I'm sure you are too. Mm-hmm. And we kind of got to talking about, like, imagine what this whole isolation lockdown stuff would be like if we didn't have these streaming services, if we didn't have Facebook Live and Instagram and just, all the video conferencing. It'd be a completely different world.
It not only would it be completely different, it would just be so lacking compared to today. I look forward to my Zoom calls and conferences so much, and it's become, everyone talks about you must establish a routine when you're in quarantine or isolation. Brush your teeth, get out of bed. Did they do it? Well, get out of bed first, then brush your teeth. Have lunch a certain time. So I look forward to my meetings because it's keeping me in routine, on schedule, and I really like that.
So I didn't actually prompt you, but where are you right now? So I'm obviously in Melbourne, and my other guests have been,
it's 9:30 at night, 9:30 p.m. It's Sunday night where I'm in New York. I am on Long Island, which is a little skinny offshoot. It's a suburb of New York City. Mm-hmm. I'm probably about, from the city limit, it couldn't be more than, I'm going to say 15 miles.
Yep.
And then once you hit the city limit, then you have to go through this Queens, and then you're in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So it's we're not far from the epicenter of the COVID-19.
Yeah.
And we really are under quarantine here. In my neck of the woods, this is a super serious thing, and everybody, I'm happy to say, is taking it very, very seriously.
Yeah. So your office is ordinarily in Manhattan? Is that where you'd normally?
I'm ordinarily in Melville, Long Island.
Okay.
I live in Melville, so my office is 3 miles away from my house.
Oh, no, that's all right.
It's a great commute. I used to work downtown on Broadway and Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And then I worked Midtown on 3rd Avenue and 40th Street. And then I worked on 5th Avenue around 52nd Street. And then one day, my wife and I decided we want to have children. And I'm like, I really don't want to spend 4 hours a day commuting anymore. So I figured, what the heck? Why go to the city? Sometimes I would go into Manhattan, come to see a client on Long Island, and then go back to Manhattan to finish up my day. So I don't really, Manhattan's really not that important to be there anymore in the financial world like it used to.
Yeah, and I reckon once we get out the other side of this, like in financial advice, obviously in financial advice as well. In Melbourne, there's a lot of firms are in the CBD in the city. There's a lot of kind of smaller suburban ones dotted around the place, and I think after all of this is said and done, we'll probably see more and more of that. Like my bedroom's over that way, and I've walked 5 steps this way, turn right, and I'm now in my son's room, which has become my office for the time being. I can see that becoming more and more the norm as we move forward.
When we got the order, not this past Friday, the Friday before this past Friday, so the 20th, Friday the 20th, New York State, all non-essential people have to work from home. Mm-hmm. I could kind of push it and say I'm an essential business. There's some loopholes in financial services, but I didn't think it was worth it. What I did is instead of working from an iPad or a laptop, I took my entire workstation home. I filled up the back of my car and just drove it home. I felt like my kids, my wife, they need me around. They need to see me. And I just felt it's important to be here because it is pretty anxiety provoking, and it's all the topic here in New York. Nobody talks about anything else except for the coronavirus, and it's we're in it. I mean, I know a couple of people personally who are homesick with it now, and we're taking it really seriously, and hopefully it'll start to crest.
Yeah. So we're a bit behind, obviously a bit behind in those exponential graphs that are doing the rounds at the moment. We got the announcement yesterday from our Prime Minister, not kind of mandating that everyone has to stay home, but it was like, if you can work from home, please work from home. It's really only essential services, or those that excuse me, that for some reason they can't do their job from home are to go can continue to go to work. But I'm sure it's not that far off where it'll be mandated that everyone needs to stay home.
You should. I mean, anything you could do to prevent it. Hopefully we get what's called herd. What's sort of looking for? Not herd proof, but herd. When enough people have it, it stops.
Enough people have it.
And we hope that, and hopefully we'll have a vaccine soon. To tell you the way I really feel about this is, I wish all 50 states in the United States would close up. Just give it 2 weeks and get it over with, and then see where we are, rather than this piecemeal state by state thing that everybody's doing. Because now it's popping up in Florida, it's popping up in Louisiana, it's popping up in Michigan, and it's expected to go to a lot more places.
Yeah.
But you're a financial advisor, and I listen to your messages and your videos, and the message is right on key from you. It's remain diversified.
Yeah.
Okay. Stick with it for the long term.
Yeah.
Cash that you need for financial obligations has already been moved over to cash, or some cash equivalent, something stable. Yeah. And you and I we're preaching the same thing.
Yeah. That's what I've enjoyed so much. Not so much now, but when I'd be walking to the train station to catch the train into work. That was around the time that you'd be doing your live. So I'd jump out. I'd get out of the car and watch it on the way in. So now that you're kind of set up at home, what's your routine looking like? What do you Monday to Friday, your normal work days, what are they looking like?
The routine is starting to shape up around when I have to start yelling at the kids to do their homework. Their video school, whatever, video conferencing starts tomorrow.
Yep.
So the kids have been off from school for 2 weeks. So that has a lot to do with the schedule. But basically for me, I've been working, and my schedule has been pretty much the same, except for lunch. Instead of going out or bringing lunch in, I barbecue burgers or something. We eat, I eat with my family, and or at least I eat with my wife and at least one of the kids.
Yeah.
So I have 3 kids. So it's been a really consistent schedule. It helps that I have the Zoom meetings during the day, because it gives you that human contact. You're keeping up with your networking groups. I'm in a few networking groups, one in particular that I love. Yeah. And we have these, we call them, buddy check meetings, where a whole bunch of us will jump on a Zoom and people will talk about what they're doing, strategies, tips for working remotely. So my schedule is pretty much like it was before, except maybe I feel like I'm getting more done.
Yeah.
Than it was before.
Yeah.
How about you?
So our school holidays have just started over here. So we had all the schools shut a couple of days earlier, but we always have a 2-week school holiday period around Easter. So that started today, being Monday. So all the kids are on school holidays now. A lot of schools have gone to late last week. A lot of them had gone to like online classes and those kind of things. My eldest son is only 6, so he's very early in primary school. So they've sent home.
I've seen him on your videos.
They've sent home. They've sent home a bit of a routine for what might likely be the case in 2 weeks' time once the holidays finish, just in case they can't go back to classes and they have to do homeschooling. we're in a bit of an interesting position in that my wife works in hospitals, so that's a kind of essential service, and so the school system here, at least they did before they broke for school holidays, they allowed parents that work in essential services to send their kids along to school. So they had very small classes of kids who their parents worked in hospitals in some way, shape, or form. So we'd be interesting to see what happens with that. I don't know where we'll end up afterwards. Yeah.
I got you. Well, I think if you could keep them home, look, it's different. My youngest is 14.
Yeah.
And it's just a world easier when the kids are older. You're rearing you have little kids.
Yeah.
They need a lot of attention. My daughter is 16. She doesn't need any attention. Her attention is focused on her friends. That's the most important thing to the kids when they become teens, is their friends. So they're like, I'm talking to my friends. I'm good. And but you still have to check, make sure that the voices you hear coming through are other kids. You have to beat it into their heads constantly. Be careful who you speak with. Be careful what you post. Are you talking to another 16-year-old, or you're talking to some 40-year-old guy? I mean, that's a scary thing with the social media. So you just have to constantly stay on top of that and monitor as much as you can. It gets harder when they get older. You lose control as they get older.
Let's maybe turn a little bit to the work that you're doing and I guess how you're managing things, how your clients are managing. So what's the feeling like there? Is there still this kind of mad panic that the world's ending? Like what's it like?
Well, the first few weeks, it was more like a couple of bad days. It was really a lot of shock. Wow, these crazy, massive down days. And then we went through about a 2-week, 1.5 week period where clients were more interested in what could we buy? What could we buy here? And, I was like, not yet. And what I've been preaching constantly is don't buy anything just because you want to bounce. Don't jump on a stock because it's down a lot and you expect it to pop. Because you could be wrong. We could go down further. Make sure that whatever you buy as an investment has a proper fit with the rest of your portfolio. So this way, it removes from the equation the stock going up or down. It's just part of your portfolio. It's a portfolio decision as opposed to a stock by stock decision.
Yep.
So we started nibbling about Monday will be 2 weeks that I started to nibble a little bit. But the prevailing wisdom was, went from probably like this everywhere, that this will be a short-term thing, then a short to intermediate, then an intermediate. And I think it's sinking in now that, wow, you know what, this is going to be with us for longer than people expected. So the fear is there. So now it's just a matter of, teaching people and everyone's brave when the market goes up. Oh, I'll handle a down market. I'll handle a bear market. Then you get into it. And people, a lot of my clients are, they've been through more cycles than I have. I've been in the industry for 30 years. I have clients older than me, so they've been through this, more times than me. But when emotions take over, you have to try to separate a panic decision from a good decision, right? Yeah. The way I explain it is, if you make a decision right away from anxiety, it's panic. But if you could let your some time pass between your decision and your panic and take a more constructive view, then at least it's an actionable decision. Maybe you need to sell a little something to alleviate some pressure, or maybe you could put in some buy limit orders way below the market in certain stocks. And then what happens is you start rooting for the market to go down.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of strategies. They might be different for everybody. So you just have to have those talks. And some clients are fine. Listen, this will all come back. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not touching this money for a very long time. And it's part of the cycle. Yeah.
Are you seeing any new clients? Are you getting new clients reaching out to you saying, I missed out on that big run up that we've just had for the last 10 years, but I've been sitting on the sidelines and now I want to do something? Is that happening at all?
Yes. Well, the focus of the last few weeks has been on existing clients and to keep them properly positioned, properly, updated. So as far as new clients go, I do my lives like you. I do a live every day. I create a lot of content. So I feel, I always have a drip of new prospects coming in. I have not reached out specifically to the prospects. It's more like when they're ready to utilize my services, that's when they'll come to me. Yep. I know this might sound funny to a lot of people who are in business development, but I find that when I approach people, it kind of turns things off. I don't feel like it doesn't work for me. I just feel like, when people have a high level of dissatisfaction with their current situation, I'll call it the 70% rule. Okay. You've heard of the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients.
Yeah.
I call it the 70% rule, where if people are 70% or more satisfied with a product or service, it's too painful to switch. It's too much of a pain in the neck. It's annoying to switch. It's effort. When people are below 70% satisfied, that's when it becomes too painful to stick with their current situation or product. So what I do is I just keep creating content, making myself available. And when people are ready to reach out, I feel like it's not just a lead, it's a really warm prospect because they're calling me. So that's basically what I rely on.
Yep. And so where are you putting your content and your messages? And obviously here on LinkedIn, that's where I stumbled across you, but where else?
Well, first I'll say how awesome is it? How great is it that you started creating content well before this global financial crisis? Can you imagine all of a sudden now trying to figure out, well, how am I going to create content now? I've never done it. I've never made a video before. Yeah. I've never done a blast email before. I never write content before. I mean, I would hate to have to start that now, because while the stock market globally was going up for the last 10 years, okay, granted there've been some pretty big bumps, but it's been a pretty good global bull market. It gave us the time to develop skills in terms of how to create content and how to distribute content, right? Didn't you learn a lot in the last couple of years?
Yeah, for sure.
And now with everything flying around, I don't think I would have time to learn about this stuff. It's just either you can execute or you can't, and that's it. So I started with YouTube a long time ago, like 2000, maybe 2010, 2011.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
The mistake I made is I hardly ever did it.
Yeah.
I just did it once in a while. It was a whole production. It was a big deal. And that was my mistake. If I just kept at it, I would, I like to think I'd be like the Casey Neistat of financial advisors right now, You
have all the sponsorships and
I love his video. So but mostly now it is LinkedIn and Facebook.
Okay.
And predominantly LinkedIn. So, once I got access to LinkedIn Live last October of 2019, I didn't even know I had it. I applied for it. I promptly got rejected.
Yeah, me too.
And then, so I applied for it again. And then one day I noticed on my desktop, there's a little red dot that said you have access to LinkedIn Live. I read the fine print. If you don't use it in like 4 weeks, you could lose it.
Yeah.
I had no idea how long I had it for. So I just went nuts on it, and I just started going live all the time. And now I'm very comfortable going live, and I have a live show and building an audience. And I think that'll be my key lead generator.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's great to have kind of tried some different things earlier on, so that when all of this mess is going on at the moment, you're not trying to fumble your way through that, and you've got the access to the live. And I don't know if you started out intentionally going to have a daily show, or if that was just you were going to have a message on one day and you thought, you know what, I may as well talk tomorrow, and then it just kept going and going from there.
It morphed. It started out as videos, and I started to make more videos. And then I was trying like these quick 2-minute videos whenever I could make them, whatever a hot story of the day was or something. I would do that. And then I figured, let me be more consistent. I'll do one once a week at the same time. And then I started doing like a vlog, like YouTube vlogging, and they were awesome. I loved making them. They were fun, and I would be in different locations. I would be in Manhattan, and I'd be in my office lobby, and I'd be at home, wherever I would be. But the editing was such a. I actually enjoy editing, but it took so much time to do.
Yeah.
And then I started to do the lives, and I have someone I use on Upwork to edit the lives into under 10 minutes, because you can only post an MP4 to LinkedIn that's under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I decided, forget that. I'm just going to do my lives, no editing, and that's the end of it. And if they're 20 minutes, a half hour, that's what I'll do. I started doing the daily thing that first day when the stock market in the United States went down over 1,000 points. So let me just jump on for a quick, impromptu LinkedIn Live at 4:30, and I got some positive feedback from it. So I did it the next day, and the next day. So it's only been 3 weeks that I've been doing it, every day. Before that, it was once a week. Like you, I did it at 12:30 p.m., hoping to catch a lunch crowd. And 3 out of 4 times a month, I would have a guest. And sometimes getting a guest is a little bit of a chore, also. So I just started doing the lives. I haven't had a guest in like 3 weeks, but that'll change. I have a few people in mind. But I talk about not just the information, what happened. It's the perspective. It's what does this mean to you?
Yeah,
and that's how it goes.
And that's the missing thing. And I think the important part in the work that both of us do, in that, like, the information is endless. We live in this world of Google now. You can get information on anything that you want, but interpreting that and making some decisions for you and yourself and in your individual circumstances that's where the knack comes in. That's where the difficulty comes in.
With all this information that we have more information than ever. And next year, actually tomorrow, we'll say we have more information than ever. And it's going to constantly increase. But are investors, savers, people using the best of personal finance, are people making better financial decisions with all this information? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. No.
I think guidance is needed even more. I mean, there's talk like, well, there's online trading apps, there's free trading apps, there's personal finance apps, and yet look what happened with crypto. Look what happened with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then look what happened with pot stocks and Tilray and some other stocks that trade on U.S. exchanges that went from crazy highs, and then they crash back down to earth.
Yeah.
Are people making better decisions with all of this information at their fingertips? No. So I think people like us are needed more.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think so too. Thanks, Mitch. I appreciate you joining me this evening, your time, this afternoon, my time. Just looking at the comments and who's here. There's been kind of 3, 4, 5 people kind of oscillating in and out throughout the live. If you're catching it on the replay and you've got a question for either myself or Mitch, just drop it in the comments there and we'll get back to you. But Graham's in the Philippines. He's been watching most of last week, so thanks, Graham, for watching.
Hey, Graham.
And Danielle as well, who's in Wollongong, a fair bit further north than where I'm sitting at the moment. So thank you for the two of you for tuning in, but especially Mitch, thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday evening to join me for a little while.
I live near Bethpage golf course, Bethpage Black. It's a world famous golf course. They've had a couple of US Open. They just had the PGA, and I see Adam Scott going through there.
Oh yeah,
and Jason Day going through there. I go figure. Adam Scott is, for some reason, my wife's favorite PGA Tour player.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
No idea.
All right.
And no, I don't have a pet koala. You had on.
Everybody in Australia has a pet koala and likes to put a shrimp on the Barbie.
We ride kangaroos to the supermarket to pick up the groceries.
Right. You use the pouch to carry the. It's just hitting on all the stereotypes. I have to ask you one serious question though.
Yeah.
What is a Vegemite sandwich?
Vegemite's just my son. I've actually just made my son lunch, and he had a Vegemite and cheese toasty. So Vegemite's just a spread you put on bread, and it's an acquired taste. Fortunately, we feed it to kids really young, so they learn to love it. But I'm sure if you tried it now, you probably wouldn't enjoy it very much.
All right,
it's very salty.
I'm going to try it one day. I don't know where I'm sure I could find it in the States somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in the shops over there too. But it's a black spread that's very, very salty.
An olive spread.
Yeah, no, it's very different taste. Very different taste. Find some. And I don't know that you'll like it, but let me know when you do. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for joining me.